Hi, I'm Dana, and I'm making this video purely because every time I mention my friends in videos, people are like, oh my god, how did you make friends? And I'm like, oh, I actually paid attention this time and know how I made them. And the other part of why I'm making this video is that I really want to talk about community more, because I feel like people aren't accessing community to the way that it could be, and aren't thriving to create the kinds of communities that we maybe like should be as autistic and neurodivergent people. Like, I think it would help neurotypicals as well, but I'm coming at it from the autism focus because I'm autistic. So let's just get into it. So for me personally, the way that I've realised I've always made friends is getting a gateway. You just need one person, and it doesn't really matter that much who they are. I'm sorry, it sounds a bit mean. I'm not saying use someone, I'm not saying hang out with people that you don't like, but I am saying that in every situation where I've made a good friend, there's one person that I've known that's been like, oh, you should meet this person, and then I'm like, oh, we are clicking, this is gonna work. For me, a lot of the time, as someone who has been in quite long relationships, it's often my partner that introduces me to someone. So my first little like, here's what I would do if I was currently trying to make friends: get onto an app. I would probably go for Bumble, but back in the days when I was on Tinder, there were also quite often a lot of people that had like in their bio that they were just looking for friends. And like, I get that it's not really a very nice experience. I don't enjoy using apps. I don't enjoy having to swipe usually based mostly on how people look, so a lot of people don't put a lot of info in their bio. But the thing is, there's more and more neurodivergent people, or at least people that know they're neurodivergent now, looking for friends. So I have increasingly come across people who look very interesting and will have somewhere in their bio that they're autistic, that they're ADHD, whatever else. And I will immediately match with them, because I do think that I'm more likely to get along with a neurodivergent person than I am a neurotypical person. And I'm only saying more likely, you know, there's plenty, I would assume, of neurotypical people out there that I'd get on really well with and be really good friends with. And similarly, there's plenty of neurodivergent people that I have known that I don't want to be friends with. But on average, when I'm just looking for a new person, it's probably going to be a neurodivergent person that I can get on with. Now, more difficult if you don't want to go the route of apps is going to events, going to clubs, going to groups, and having to actually speak to people. And this was an option that was just never going to work for me. I have been going to more like little clubs and groups to meet people lately, and I've been going with my best friend because they do all the talking and they do all of like the social stuff, and I can like suss out who's there that I actually want to speak to further, you know? I would never be the person that just like shows up at a new group and is like, hi, I'm Dana, how's everyone doing? I can't do it. I struggle to even introduce myself. It would never work for me. But at the same time, if you're willing to put yourself out there a little bit and like eat up and deal with the anxiety, you can make really good friends in those types of settings. Like, for example, I went to see one of my friend's bands play a little while ago, and while I was watching them, it's one of those awkward things for me where if my friend is in the band, it's like, great, I'm gonna get to see my friend play, but I'm also going to be stood on my own while they're on stage. And I was sort of like, I was enjoying the music, I was having a good enough time, and then I noticed someone that was stood on their own and was doing the little like anxiety hand thing, and I was like, they're like me, you know? Like, I spotted them, I saw that we could be similar, and I was like, so are you enjoying the gig? During like a quiet part, obviously, and we managed to actually get chatting, and we have met up again, and I would genuinely consider them a friend now, and it blows my mind that I managed to do that. Like, I have never ever in my life before that moment spoken to someone just out of the blue in a club, you know? If the social setup isn't there for me, if I don't already know someone that's speaking to them or something like that, I would never usually just put myself out there like that. But I did, and it was very, very worth it. But the only other place in my life that I've been able to like just speak to strangers and make friends in social settings is at Comic-Con. And it doesn't always work out brilliantly. The first friend that I made at a Comic-Con was when I was 17 maybe? No, I was younger. I hadn't met my ex yet. I would have been 15, 14, and she was a good bit older than me. And I went all the way to Cardiff to see her. But Comic-Cons are very much the only place where I socialise with strangers. I cosplay, I'm a massive fan of a lot of different types of fandoms. It's the only place where I truly, completely feel like everybody is easy to speak to, because you already have the social setup essentially. You're already into the same TV show, you're already into the same movie series or whatever. There is a thing there for you already that you can talk about, you know? If you're waiting in a queue to get someone's autograph or a picture of someone, you can either like, oh, so what do you like them from? You know, like there's a lot of situations at Comic-Con where it is just easier to speak to strangers. And although I had like the slightly dodgy experience when I was younger of going to Cardiff with someone and then realising like, oh, we're actually like perfectly nice person, but we're not going to actually be friends. There's not really anything here for us. We're kind of just very awkward around each other. But one of my absolute closest best friends now, I also met at Comic-Con. So you know, every single person that you interact with is a different person. So like, some will be friends, some will not, you know, some will be assholes as well. But I don't feel like we should let the bad situations or like the situations where it just doesn't work out be the situations that hold us back from future ones, you know? But it's one of those things where Comic-Con comes around once a year, you know? And when I was younger, I would get so hyper-focused on that being the time that was there for me to make friends. I need to find my best friend, I need to find my community, my group, my squad. I put so much pressure on it that when the time came around and I didn't see the people that like, I don't even know, like the people that looked like they would be my people, I suppose. Like I would just look around and be like, I'm not interested in speaking to anyone here. And I don't really know why now that I'm older. Maybe it was the anxiety of having to speak to people. I'd rather pretend to, even to myself, that I just don't want to. Whatever it was, I would, you know, like put all of my sights on this one day to make friends and then just not do it. And it is that rejection is terrifying, some of it, like a massive amount of it is definitely that rejection is really, really scary. And I feel like, especially as autistic people, I don't even need like a full rejection, you know? It's as simple as when I'm like, oh my gosh, we should do this thing sometime. And they're like, oh yeah, we should, I'll let you know the day. And then they never do. And I'm like, oh. And most of the time, they have probably just forgotten, you know? They've probably just been busy. It's not actually a rejection, but I really perceive it as such. And there's been a lot of situations where if that happened once with someone, I just wouldn't speak to them again, you know? And a lot of the time I was the person that was initiating conversation. So if I'm not initiating a conversation with them, I'm not hearing from them again, which I would then receive as like another sense of rejection. But that's where it comes in, and you have to like just put yourself out there, you know? Like I have people that I've probably messaged like 4 or 5 times being like, oh my gosh, we should do something sometime. And they're like, oh yeah, we should. I'll get some dates across. And then I'll be like, maybe get some dates to me, you know, just a little prompt, a little reminder. And I feel terrified while I'm doing it, and I feel like I'm being that really annoying fucker that they're trying to like get away from. And it's, you know, I feel awful like communicating with people before they're actively my friends, but in doing that they become your friends, you know? There's been definitely a lot of situations in my life where I've been on the path of becoming friends with someone and I've just read so much of their behaviour as rejection when it hasn't been, that I've just stopped the friendship in its tracks and just pulled out and just stopped caring about it. And it's not that I've stopped caring about it, it's that I care too much of anything, you know? But I've just cut it off and stopped doing it. When if I'd just continued to put myself out there a little bit more and deal with the discomfort that it causes a little bit more, I would get to a place like I have now with people where I'm really comfortable and I can unmask around them and be accommodated to and have a support system. You know, there's so many benefits of friendship, and it's just getting through the first awkward stages. But those first stages can be so horrifically awkward, and I have also had the situations where I keep doing it and the person's obviously receptive and clearly like does want to be friends, but we just never get out of that awkward period, and eventually I'm the person that starts ghosting and pulling back and being like, this isn't getting comfortable. But it is such a case of it needs to be the right people, and I know how it can be when you get to the place of like, I keep meeting people, I keep making friends, I keep having these friendships disasters, I keep struggling to meet people, struggling to even speak to people. I know how it can be because I'm almost 27. It's the first time in my life that I'm like, yeah, I have really good friends, and it's literally 2 of them, you know? Like, I get how it is, but you have not had that situation with every person on the planet. You have not spoken to every person. There will be people out there that are just like you, that are the exact people that you've always wanted to be friends with, that give you the exact situations and the exact support, the exact, you know, they are the perfect friend. They are out there. They're just fucking hard to find, but they are worth the effort. They are worth putting the energy in. You know, like even with my current closest friends, both of them, we had months of being like, oh my gosh, yes, we should hang out and be friends. And we both had like our own anxieties or own energy issues and whatever else. That meant it took quite a long time. But now we see each other really regularly and we're really close, and it's really beautiful, and it feels like a real sense of community. And like, I know from comments that a lot of people that watch my videos, and a lot of autistic people in general, have sort of given up on that due to experiences. And as I say, I get that. I just don't think you should. And that's just my opinion. You don't have to listen to it. You can think that I'm talking a load of shit. But I really think that finding the right people and building those relationships is so beyond worth it. And that's why I want to tie this video into like creating community and having community and the importance of it, because I do think it's absolutely vital to find the people that have that mind frame and that mindset and those goals. Like, I've had a lot of friendships where I felt so second place to their romantic partner, and that's really weird to me. Like, with one of my current best friends, they're in like still like the early couple of months of a relationship, and our dynamic, our like friendship, our time that we spend together has not changed. And that's the way it should be, whereas everyone else that I've ever been friends with that's been in or gotten into a relationship, their behaviour is very, very different, and they very clearly prioritise the relationship. And I'm not saying they shouldn't necessarily, but I feel like in doing so, platonic friendships are often just sort of left to the wayside. They're not seen they're not seen as being as important as a romantic relationship. When, for me, as someone who like hasn't had very good romantic relationships or platonic relationships, in fairness, you know, I feel like they should be of equal importance. And I feel like in general, platonic relationships are the ones that are going to be able to actually continue and be there forever, you know? Like, you will experience breakups, most likely. Most people do. And as much as I've experienced the friendships that have ended and the friendships that have really blown up in my face and everything, the friendships that I have now that I feel like I'm building community with and not just building friendship with are people that I feel like are going to be in my life for the rest of my life. And whatever relationships I may have outside of those, I want to continue making sure that they thrive and that they are close relationships, because it offers me a place where I'm safe, you know? Like, I have spaces with my friends where I'm entirely safe. I can completely unmask. It has completely transformed a lot of how I feel about myself and what I think about myself. And it's also provided me with a support system that's made my life much, much easier. And that's where I'm leaning into thinking that community and communal living is the future for me, and probably for a lot of other autistic people that are going to block themselves off from it because of past experiences and because of not being able to find the people and the like. And that's where, as much as I'm talking about friends and friendship, I do feel like community is the more important part. And that's where I also think that it should be put in equal regard, if not higher regard, than romantic relationships. You know, like, I know that my friends are the people that are going to always be there and that I'm always going to be there for. And it's in building community that life becomes easier. You know, like, when I have the times that I can't cook, my friends are there to be like, do you need money for takeout? Do you want me to cook you a meal and bring it over? Do you want me to bring you some frozen meals? You know, like, every issue that I have is no longer my issue. It's one that's taken on by I really want to say community, but it is literally the three of us. You know, I'm not in anything on my own anymore, and that's a really beautiful feeling, and it's one that I do think that more autistic people need. You know, we're not being offered the appropriate support that we need from like governmental systems or other things like that, or just like society. So we have to build it ourselves, and I really think that the only way of doing that is through building community, and predominantly with other neurodivergent and autistic people that need the same things that we do, because the traits all line up differently and we can provide different things to each other while also having the like innate understanding of what it's like to be us, you know? I've got more learning to do in that area before I can really fully put my thoughts into words and really like give you the full concept and everything. But I just wanted to sort of throw it in at the end here to create discussion, because I do think it's from seeing other people's thoughts and opinions on that I'm going to be able to like build more of my own thoughts and opinions and create more of a concept of what I actually want and believe in. But I do think that for the rest of my life, my platonic friendships and relationships are going to be the ones that are the most important to me. And I am still like a romantic at heart. I do want someone to like sweep me off my feet or whatever else. I do see the value of romantic relationships, and if someone was actually nice enough to me, I would love to be in one. But for now, I'm very, very happy and very fulfilled and very, you know, I feel like I have everything I need. And I feel like that's very, very important to have before going into romantic relationships, quite frankly, because I have, in my past ones, ran into them being like, well, I need something, and it hasn't been that. I do think that platonic relationships are much more important than we give credit for in our current society. And I do think that's why like the general community that societies used to have has fallen to the wayside and disappeared for a lot of us, at least in like the Western world. Obviously, like I only speak from my own experiences. I feel like that should be so obvious that I've stopped saying it in videos, but they are very much based only on my experiences and little thoughts and opinions that I have. So I'm done with speaking. Like I say, please comment, because I think it will help me to know what I'm talking about a bit better. If you have any tips for making friends, because I know that this was like kind of meant to be about making friends, but they just sort of happened to me, and I'm very, very glad and lucky, to be honest with you. So I post here on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays if you would like to see more content from me and watch more videos that I make. I post over on TikTok every single day if you want even more of my voice and my thoughts and the shit that I say. And if you have money and wanted to donate some to little old me, I also have Ko-fi and Patreon, and all of that will be linked down below. But there's no pressure to give me money. You don't have to pay me. I like that this content is free and accessible to everyone, which is why Patreon is literally just early uploads. I don't want to like gatekeep content for people that can't afford it, but I am starting to feel really guilty that my Patreon people aren't getting extra content when they do literally pay me. If you have any ideas for that as well, I'll take them. But for now, whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.